The greatest man I ever knew was Marty Sr., my father. He loved Bob Tudi, right? Seriously. They used to sit in the living room in our house in Groovy Side, Shady Side, talk about life. I'm serious, right? He loved Bob Tudi. And he understood Bob's grit and his greatness. They talked about leadership and the capacity to excel, where everybody else saw an F up and a C minus student on his best day. My father saw, seriously, greatness. He did. My father loved Bob Tudi. Back then, I just thought he was a jag-off dating my sister. I'm serious. There were so many times Bob Tudi has wanted to kick my ass over the years. Right, Bob? Oh, man. It's unbelievable. Marilee Tudi saved my life and his. Unbelievable. Grit. He probably doesn't remember this, but he was a good football player. Nose tackle. I always put the shortest guy in nose tackle, like a block of cheese. That was Bob Tudi. I was on the scout team. I sucked. But I was funny, right, Bob? Funny. In a practice in behind Central, his knee came out of socket, dislocated during practice. He's a badass. I'm not kidding. He put it back in the socket and continued to practice. That's Bob Tudi. I'm serious. Grit. Man, our paths have crossed in such a magnificent way that we were able to work together to make a tremendous change. I got a grit and grace, I call it. I was in a woman's house in the Rocks about 7 years ago. She was dying. I'm not kidding. The shit you see, you can't believe you're in America. She was in her 70s, Peggy, right? And the ceilings were collapsed. Remember this, Marilee? Mom? The walls were collapsed in her house. It was like Baghdad. No shit. I'm serious. And there's this little woman asleep, laying, you remember this, in front of the oven? Right? No heat, no water. It's a true story. And it was in the Rocks, man. It was it New Year's Eve? It was like 2 degrees. I swear to God, it was 2 years. What? Christmas Eve, right? And I was live. It was 2 degrees. She was going to die. Well, no exaggeration. She was going to die. Mental illness. Didn't want anything to do with us. But they saved her life. Saved her life. And in my world, I would have said, man, we got to get her out of here. Right, Bob? Get her to a place where she's safe. Marilee said that ain't happening. Marilee, because of her grace and his grit, saw something in her that reminded you of your mom. Remember this? And Bob put his boys, who were insane, who are out here tonight, who work so hard and love him. And they spent, I don't know, $150,000, $200,000 in that woman's house. Marilee's like, so what, man? Save her life, and they saved her life. That's some shit. As I like to say. I mean, you step back and you're like, damn, they saved her life. I got a call one night from Allegheny County 911. He said, Marty, you need to help us. There's a woman in Homewood. She's 91 years old, and she's freezing to death. This is late, man. And I went out to her house, and she was 91 years old, and she was sitting in a chair alone, and she was shaking. And I'm not shaking, freezing to death. This is the truth. And you know who I texted? Bob. Grit and grace. They were in Florida. Most people are like, I don't give a damn. Marty's a pain in the ass. Bob had 5 guys there within an hour. Saved her life. She did not want to leave that house, remember? Bob put a furnace in that house. Didn't think twice. It's insane. They have this event once a year in the rocks, where he's made his home and had insane success. And it's like a revival. It's like a Pentecostal thing. It's like a faith healing, inspirational, maddening ray of hope about the existence of humanity and the greatness of man. I am not kidding. And Marilee and Bob, how many people are there? 300? You can't move. Every single employee, but hell with that, because they have to go to work, right? Because Bob will kick their ass. But they bring their kids, man, little kids. What time is it? At 6 a.m., right? Cold, 5 a.m., 5 a.m. And I go with my man Patrick, and you're like, you can't believe this shit. I mean, there's 300 people here. Little kids, man, little. And man, we go out in the streets, in the homes where people haven't had heat in 3 years. You don't believe this. And man, you go into the front door with all of his people, these warriors of hope and change, grit and grace. There's a family on the couch, no shit, under a blanket, right? 5 of them haven't had a furnace in 2 years. Think about it. Your furnace goes out for an hour. You're freaked out. Gotta call Tudi, right? 3 years, no heat. And this parade of people comes through the door. It's beautiful, man. And you go down the stairs, those wooden stairs, in the old Pittsburgh houses with the basements with the cement, you know, that hangs, the plaster, and the Pittsburgh toilet, right? Man, I miss those. Sitting down there with the paper, you know what I'm saying? Water dripping down, spiders coming up your leg. God damn. That's living, man. And so you're in the basement in a furnace that's what, about 40 years old? I mean, insane, antique stuff. And there's 40 people down there, right? Kids, little kids, and their moms and dads, and they're watching a miracle happen. It's beautiful. 40 people watch a miracle happen. They put in a new furnace. You change someone's life like that, like that. I went into a woman's home. She was dying from cancer. She would have been dead in a month. She hadn't had a furnace. You're thinking, man, put a $15,000 furnace, she'd be dead in a month. Bob didn't care. Put a furnace in that house. I was with his boys. Was it 2 weeks ago? We were in a house with a woman with mental illness. Her kitchen was collapsing, and she had no heat. And the basement was full of black mold, like making her sick. Bob finds a company that does a $30,000 job removing the black mold. And then his boys put in a free furnace. Saved her life. And my man, when I called him about this award, he's like, you're not going to talk about me, are you? No, man, I don't have shit to say about you. Grit and grace. I'm proud to call you friends. When you're part of their lives, you're part of their family. And the crazy thing is they never say no. Ever. You have never said no to me, either one of you. It's insane. And I'm a pain in the ass. I really am. It's the truth. Ask Larry. And it's true that there's so many times he wanted to kick my ass. But I love them. We're family. And I love everything they do. And the grit and grace and the elegance and the kindness. They have put, wrap your arms around this, 400 furnaces in the homes. Free, man. Free. Check that out. That's a beautiful thing. Thank you, brother.
So where's my notes? You have them? I wrote my notes on my parking ticket, and I can't find my parking ticket, so I'm going to screw the speech up, and I won't be able to get my car. But I have to say, you know, Marty has gotten me into more things that I had to get him out of, and it is right. I am not the only one that wanted to kick his ass. When he was in high school, he was an asshole then. But it skipped a generation because his father was good, so I'm guessing his grandfather was an asshole. And Marty was probably one, too. So, but anyway, he calls me and says, you know, he calls Mayor, of course. Mayor, I want you to do this award. I'm saying, Mayor, she calls me, Marty wants to do an award. I'm not doing an award. I'm not doing it. So I call Marty. I'm saying, Marty, look, I'm not doing this home title award. There's all these people in here that actually did something to deserve it. I'm not doing it. I'm not going up there. Is that true, Marty?
Yes, sir.
True.
Yeah.
So I said, I can't. I'm not doing it. There's people, the board is what, Jack Bogut, Rick Donnelly, the major league pitcher, Smokey Robinson. I said, I'm not getting up there and doing that. I can't, I'm not doing it. He said, Bob, no, it's fine, it's fine, you'll be fine. True?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't know. So he gets spooked a little bit and he calls Larry. True? Larry calls me. Hey, Bob, about this Smokey thing, what did he say? He said, when I talked to Larry, he said, Marty nominated me to Larry. Larry had some trepidation. And he's going, and Marty said, come on, Larry. He said, Smokey Robinson, he's not, but he got a big family and he could probably fill some tables, so I'm okay with it. I'm good, right? Okay, we'll have him here. So I find out that Larry says that, and I get a phone call from Larry. Hey, Larry, hey, Bob, listen, about the Smokey thing, I didn't mean anything about that, right? I didn't mean anything about it. But you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Marty will go up there and talk some long-winded thing, make you look good, and it'll be good for you, believe me. Right? So, long and the short, we're here. We're here. And I don't know if what we're doing is worth being here. I mean, all the other things are great. Now, I was put in a position where I got lucky, right? I got lucky. And Marty's going, that's horseshit, like he says. That's horseshit, Bob. Right? It's what he said, it's horseshit. I say, yeah, but a little bit, I got lucky, right? And I say that, or as Dante says, favored, right? I got favored. I get favored that I grew up in Oakland, right? I got favored that I grew up in a community where Dan Marino Sr. was there, and we had a group looking out for us, and Bob Gazier was there, right? So I got to go there. I got favored or blessed to be able to go to Central and be around good guys. So I got favored when I met my wife, right? And I got favored when she told me that she wanted 10 kids and I didn't run. And I thought about it. I could have been somebody. Run around with 7 kids, my God, and 3, it's 10. All right, so we had the 10. So long and the short of that whole story is this heat for the needy, I get lucky, right? I happen, like Susan, to be at a place where I just happened to have a tech that was dispatched to a house at that time. Lucky. It was lucky that when he came back, I was there to see that. Lucky that I had already hired employees that got lit by doing that, right? So I was already had a small group that loved to do that. So when we did it once, I'm spending all this money on picnics and all these other things to try to build teamwork and culture and all these things. And when you do that, it is way different. It's way different than a picnic because these guys have a, what do you want to call that? The ties that bind. It tied us together as a group. So from that time, now we're doing Heat for the Needy, but every time we did it, the families would come back and our core in the belief of the business got stronger. And every time we grew that core, so Heat for the Needy was not something that I did, right? It was something that everybody over there did. So I say luck, Dante says favored, but in either case, it allowed our business to grow, I can tell you that. And it allowed a pain in my ass to call me and say, Bob, I got a problem. I'm getting Marty off the show and I'm having trouble with ratings. Can you help me get some stuff out there? Right? I don't know. So, but now we go in, and again, I mean, you heard it in the story. When we would be done with that piece, doing that in that day, the people would stand in line to thank me. Thank me for what, right? I don't see it, but they were getting, we gave them the gift of giving that they sometimes didn't get to feel all the time, right? We gave them a gift of giving, which was giving back to us. So for the Heat for the Needy piece, I think that now it's, you know, where's Nate back there? Those Nate and the residential guys, they go running their day-to-day. They're busy as can be. They have to take time. Marty helps us quite a lot. I have to give him credit for something. But anyway, Marty helps us a lot with that in finding candidates, right? And also, it helps us in our business because in the community, what we find is, Tudi, aren't you guys that do that Heat for the Needy? Yeah. This is our sales person going in there talking to them. Don't you, I heard you on Marty Griffin. That guy makes me so mad. I said you and a lot of other people, believe me. But anyway, long and short is we're able to use Heat for the Needy as a catalyst for our culture, which in turn builds our company. So you don't do things like this to get a reward, or you don't do a Heat for the Needy to get a reward. You do Heat for the Needy to get rewarded. So what do you, now she said, I'm not saying anything, Bob. I said, Mary, you got to say something.
Oh, it's just overwhelming. We are so honored, and again, the stories today were just, I have no words. They were just incredible. And I do agree with what they all said, that everybody has a hero in themselves. And I think of Mother Teresa when, you know, she'd be in Calcutta and all the poverty and all the people laying in the streets, and she would go and try to take care of them, and people would look and say, how are you even going to make a difference? How can you make an impact? I mean, look, there's just thousands of children and people on the street dying. And she said, I start with one. And that's what we all do. In our daily lives, everybody, there is a hero in everybody, and that's the thing. We start with one.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Now, I have one more question. Larry had a show, and Marty had a show. And now we have two people doing one show on the same airtime. So we took two resources, put them into one time stream. How are we optimizing revenue with that? I don't know. You got to talk to the guys at KDKA.
Let me give this to your wife.